Welcome to Lunar the Lemur's crochet along. How exciting! This video is a supplement to my Lunar the Lemur pattern. The video pertains to part 1 of the pattern and it's the first video of the series. Please check the description box below for more information about this crochet along. In this video I'll be demonstrating how to join the fingers or toes together, and I'm demonstrating on a foot just for the sake of being able to use the big toe for my demo, which is easier for you to see rather than doing a hand and using the thumb, which is a bit smaller and harder to see. What I'll be showing you here is exactly the same as what's written in the pattern. This is just a supplement to help make the pattern easier to follow. To prepare for this part, you'll need at least one big toe and one set of fingers, excluding the thumb. Let's begin! At this stage, we have our little fingers or toes ready to go. I have a big toe and my little toes. The pattern tells you to trim these stitch markers just to keep them out of the way while we're busy, but so that you can still tell which fingers are which because they are color coordinated with their stitch markers. To make the foot, we follow the same pattern as the hand up to the end of row 4. The hand is continued from the last round of the pinky finger, which is marked in green, so that's where I'm going to begin. I'm just going to put that back on my hook. Then I'm going to pick up my ring finger, which is marked with purple. And starting on the 5th single crochet of the last row, I'm going to insert my hook, work 3 single crochets, and on the last stitch I'm going to work my loose end in. Just for one stitch I'm going to work over my loose end. And then I'm going to repeat that on the middle finger, which is marked in pink. Starting on the 5th stitch again, work 3 single crochets, and as I work the last stitch I'm going to work over that loose end. On the index finger, which is marked with orange, I'm going to start in the 5th single crochet and work 6 stitches and work the loose end in as I go. Now I need to work a slip stitch into the same space where I worked the 1st single crochet to join my index finger. So I started joining my index finger over there and I worked all the way around so I got back to the same point. That is the 1st stitch that I worked to join my index finger. So I want to work into the same space that that stitch is worked into, which is down here, work 1 slip stitch. On the middle finger, I'm going to work 3 single crochets and I'm going to work the loose end in as I go. This is the loose end that was from the end of the finger. Then work 1 slip stitch into that shared stitch again, which means into the same stitch where I started joining this finger, which is the 5th single crochet on the last row of the finger. That stitch. Work one slip stitch in there. And then repeat that on the ring finger. So working my loose end in as I go, I'm going to work 3 single crochets. And then a slip stitch into that single crochet where the first joining single crochet was worked. On the pinky finger, 1 slip stitch in the last single crochet of the last row. So this is my pinky finger. There's the last single crochet of the last row. Slip stitch in there. And then work 6 more single crochets onto the pinky. And here we've reached the beginning of our row where we started by joining that ring finger. We're back at the beginning. All the fingers are joined. I'm going to continue working in the round, which means I need a running stitch marker to keep track of my stitches. Work 3 single crochets on the ring finger. Three single crochets on the middle finger. On the index finger, 5 single crochets. Now on that finger, the only 2 stitches I have left to work into is my 6th single crochet and the slip stitch that I worked into that same space as my first stitch. I'm going to work a decrease into those 2 stitches. Now work 2 single crochets on the middle finger, starting in the very next stitch, which is these 2 loops that you can see there. The very next available stitch space to work into. And then what we have left on this finger is a single crochet and a slip stitch. I'm going to decrease into there. Then on the ring finger, 2 single crochets, so starting in the very next available space, 1, 2, and then work 2 decreases. So I'm going to be working into the single crochet and the slip stitch for my first decrease. For my second decrease, I'm working into the slip stitch and the single crochet. 5 single crochet in the remaining stitches on the pinky. And we are back at our stitch marker. We've gone all the way around and returned to the beginning of the row. Row 3 to 4 are just straight rows, so I'll do that and come back afterwards. Start by working 8 single crochets. Working into the 8th stitch of the big toe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, on the wrong side of the big toe. So I'm going to go in from the wrong side, and on the right side of the foot. So on the next stitch of the foot, I'm going to go into the right side and work a single crochet to join them. And then do that 3 more times. In the next stitch on the wrong side of the toe and the right side of the foot, work another single crochet, and 2 more by the same method to complete the join. Now the big toe is attached by 4 stitches. So I'm going to mark those stitches. I'm going to mark the first one and the 4th one that I just made. One, two, three, 4. And then work 12 more single crochets in the remaining stitches on the foot. Start with 8 single crochets. Into the stitch with the marker and into the next available stitch on the thumb, I'm going to work a decrease. Then work 10 single crochets around the thumb. Into the next stitch on the toe and the stitch with the marker on, I'm going to work a decrease. And then work 12 single crochets in the remaining stitches on the foot. If you're not sure where to begin, and this applies to any pattern at any point where you're maybe not sure of which is your next stitch, you can always count backwards. Now the pattern is telling you to work 12 single crochets, which means you only have 12 stitches left here. So you can start counting from your stitch marker, count 12 stitches back, and then you'll know where to work into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The big toe attachment is complete. From this point on, the pattern is pretty straightforward, it's very easy. The next tricky bit is making the armature and inserting that, so I'm going to make a separate video to show you how to do that. I hope this was helpful. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss the next video in Lunar's series. See you next time!